This is Rennie Knopf with ChampionshipBBQ.tv, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Yay! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central Show. Let's see if I remember how to do this. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating as it has for years and decades from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire, fun, and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or if you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do all that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now. A brand new month, a first Tuesday of that brand new month. And, of course, that brings a visit from our pal, the pitmaster of Killer Hogs, creator of How to BBQ Right, Malcom Reed. Off last month, back for January, and we are going to go headlong into the bison hunt of 2024 and subsequent recap here in January of 2025 with Malcom Reed. No stone or bison question will be left unturned. You will get all of the insight. I will ask all of the most important questions that one needs to ask when somebody goes on a bison hunt, and we will all be armed with information to go further tomorrow to have conversations the likes that we thought maybe we would never have had. But it's all right here in the next 10 minutes. After Malcom Reed, we will welcome a first-time guest. He is the Executive Vice President of Memphis In May. It is Kevin Grothe. Mysteriously unavailable last year as all the noise was being generated by first-time contest Smoke Slam well before the year turned and then well into the year turning into 2024. There was all of this smoke slam, that, new information being dropped this week, next week, new information being dropped. All the while, I'm feverishly reaching back out to Memphis In May saying, hey, would you like to come on? Would you like to talk about this? Would you like to talk about that? Nothing in between. Very little information aside from we will reach out when we have a comment on X or Y, which never came. And then a few weeks ago, wouldn't you know, in comes an email, says, hey, we're ready to rock and roll in 2025. Would you like to have somebody on? I am, of course, always looking for brand new guests, especially at esteemed contests and revered contests like Memphis In May. And lucky enough, we were able to put Kevin Grothe on the show here this evening. So we'll talk about what 2025 looks like from a competition sense, what you can look like from a spectator sense. We'll also talk a little bit about what's transpired here over the last couple of years. So looking forward to meeting and talking with Kevin as we round out the first hour. Then we'll move to the second hour, where we will find the second Tuesday of the month. The second hour, first Tuesday of the month regular guest First time in 2025, Sam the cooking guy. Sam also missed last month. He was on vacation, I believe, either in Mexico or Hawaii, and I want to say it was Hawaii, but I can't be sure. Not sure if it was Hawaii, if he was able to chase down barbecue realtor to the stars, Lance Owens. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it was Mexico. I don't know. We'll see what Sam was up to last month. We'll talk about what's going on in 2025. We'll talk about his recently passed Pooch Lewis, which is terrible news. Lewis, one of my favorite dog personalities out there on the World Wide Webs. So we'll catch up with Sam, 14 past the second hour. And then to close out the show tonight, 35 past the second hour, the executive producer of the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, and Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer, John Solberg, will close out the show. Special announcement on that as we draw near to the show. So that's how it's laying out. Malcom Reed and Kevin Grothe, first hour, Sam the cooking guy, John Solberg in the second hour. Don't forget, you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapper Snaps, and the LinkedIns, all with the handle at BBQ Central Show. And, of course, for the first time in 2025, we say good evening to all of you watching through our video streaming platform networks. You can go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can go to Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch the show on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. And we do have a new YouTube poll question of the week, and we're asking everybody this, including all guests. Do you ask for permission from the father before you propose marriage to your girlfriend? And currently 64% of you are saying yes, you do. I got to be honest, given my age demographic of audience, I thought that number would be trending into the mid to low 80s, if not low 90s, maybe even closer to 100%. But currently, we're closer to 50-50 than I thought we were going to be. It just dropped, and now the yeses are taking 62%. I don't remember if you recall what the poll question of the last live show, which was December 17th. You would remember the likes of a Jack Arnold leading in that first hour. The question was, will you buy Meathead's new book when it's released this year in 2025? It was a tight race. 51% of you decided yes, you will buy Meathead's book when it is released in 2025, which means 49% of you said no, which is way closer to 50-50 than I had even accounted for. So wondering what that's all about. But we'll start here this evening. Gang, welcome to 2025, a new year's of shows. First time with my mouth, let's say a new year of shows, new year of entertainment and education, fun and frivolity. As I mentioned in the podcast recording last week, I will be doing my best to make the 2025 year of shows the best ever shows you have ever listened to and or watched. And I have no time to waste because 2025 already rapidly coming to a close. So let's get on it directly. I hope your holiday season was great, was safe. You spent time with the people you wanted to spend it with. You got everything you wanted, and you gave what you wanted to give to those that you love and those that deserved it. And I want to thank friend of the show and multiple-time Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Fame nominee, Andy Husband, and all the folks over at the Smoke Shop for sending me a great care package that came out yesterday. 99% of it made it safely. It did appear that a bottle of their spicy barbecue sauce fell victim to transport through the courtesies of USPS. The blessing and the curse of using a glass bottle for sauce, of course, which I actually prefer. If I was going to be doing a sauce, I would prefer using a glass bottle, but I know why people use plastic. For this instance specifically, risk of breakage, much less when you're using plastic than if you're using glass. But nonetheless, I got a fresh pack of the Smoke Shop barbecue peanuts, which best should be enjoyed by November 3rd of this year, so I have to get cracking on those. Also, a bottle of Gold Medal barbecue sauce, which looks like it's a mustard-based attempt. And, of course, the Sweet Victory barbecue sauce over at the smoke shop, which I can only anticipate is a competition-style sauce or perhaps some take on what they've used as Team IQ, winning multiple times and being down to Jack Daniels 10 or 11 times in a row, whatever that take was. But then there was also this. This is is it called an atomizer, whatever, for like cologne spray. They've developed, I don't know if they're selling it or if this is just a gimmick product or something along these lines, but they are marketing a barbecue cologne. Well over 10 years ago, the guys at Pork Barrel Barbecue came out with Q Cologne, which was supposed to be in a play of fun, but I think real. It was one of the most horrific colognes I've ever smelled. I can't believe that they went to market with anything like that. It was shocking. It was offensive. It was the antithesis of what a good, true barbecue man would smell like. I don't think you can capture barbecue in a cologne. However, the smoke shop has decided to throw caution to the wind and come out with whatever their version is. I don't know if this was just a tester for me. I smelled it. It was also offensive right away to the olfactory senses. I took out a piece of paper towel and sprayed it on there. Maybe this was just one-time spray. I don't want to do it here for visual reference, but it did stain the paper towel, not white. It didn't show up like if you were to spray it with water in a clear sense. It had a staining mark on the paper towel. So it didn't encourage me to then want to spray it around my hot points to make sure I was emanating the smoke shop's latest rendition of a barbecue cologne, whatever it is. But even smelling it on the paper towel was doing it no favors. So while 99% of the stuff made it, I would say 95% of the stuff is probably worth purchasing. I'm not going to tell you to not buy the cologne. I would say if you're adventurous, if you like outside-the-box smells that are borderline offensive to every human with a nose and perhaps most animals, you might want to give it a try and then let me know. Or just buy it as a secret and spray it up right before you go out with your significant other and see if you're still their significant other by the end of the night. I mean, why not? That would be a great way to test it. So thanks again to Andy Husbands and everybody out there at the smoke shop for the care package. Much appreciated. Look forward to getting a handful of those nuts in my mouth, too. In a vacuum, that sounds really weird. Malcom Reed is ready to go for the first time in 2025, getting ready to talk some bison, amongst other things. Before we do that, talk about the Schwank Grill leading us in 2025. Still here. It is infrared burner technology at its finest. More on that in a second. You can get it up to 1,500 degrees. You're not taking long periods of time when you're using the Schwank Grill. In fact, you're cutting time by considerable amounts. You can get a half-inch steak done 3 or 4 minutes, depending on what your internal temperature preference is like. So no more wasting your life cooking the proteins that you want. The infrared burner technology, the same that you will find in some of the world's leading steakhouses, like Morton's and Cut 432. Not infrared burner technology, but the same Schwank burner technology that you find in the one in your backyard, the same one in the commercial steakhouses. And it's not just for steak, as you're seeing here in the video. It can cook tuna, chicken, shish kebabs, chicken wings, all the delicate stuff. You name it, the Schwank can handle it and do it really well. So I would offer you this request. If you see what you like on the video, if you hear or you like what you're hearing as I'm talking about, head on over to the Schwank Grill's website, SCHWANK, schwankgrills.com, and you can search the 2 fuel options that they have, natural gas, liquid propane. I like liquid propane myself, but you do you. Highly portable, too, as we are getting through the end of the NFL season, if you can believe that. Schwankgrills.com. That's schwankgrills.com. The infrared burner grill you got to have in your backyard this grilling season, but why wait? Let's do it now. We're back with Malcom Reed right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Makers of the Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the all-new wireless Fireboard Pulse, which is now available for retail sale. You don't have to line up and wait for it anymore or get the invite. Just go buy it. When you use the Fireboard app, you have total access to all devices anywhere in the whole wide world with a signal. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. The good folks over at Fireboard. My next guest tonight can be found helming the competition team Killer Hogs when he does that, or you can watch him on YouTube over at the How To BBQ Right YouTube channel, where 1.8 million of you are currently subscribing. It's our pal Malcom Reed. Malcom, Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year, Greg. What's happening?
We are doing it again. It's 2025. We started this many, many years ago, just as the internet was starting to take off. Malcom and I were having barbecue conversations, and here we are so many years later. YouTube poll question of the week. Let's get that out of the way before we talk about the hunt of 2024. Does a man have to ask let me make sure I have this phrased right, because I was trying to do this right the first time. Do you ask for permission from the father before you propose marriage to your girlfriend? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. 67% of the YouTube voting public saying yes, you do. I thought that was a little light myself, but I believe we're also dealing with generational differences and things like this, so maybe the newer generation isn't into that. But I also agree with you, Malcom. That's something you should absolutely do if you're a real man. Gift I never thought I would get was a industrial-size cheese machine. And I have to say, it is very impressive. How often are you guys using that?
Not often enough. I mean, you could use it daily if you wanted to. No, it's usually special events, Greg. I think we broke it out one time during the holidays. Is it
only Amazon that you can go get like the accommodating 6-pound can of cheese, or do you have places locally?
Yeah, local grocery stores carry it. Sam's Club, Costco, Walmart, Kroger.
Oh, all right.
You can get in the South. Now I don't know about in Cleveland, but in the South we got the processed cheese by the gallon.
All right. Well, we're going to make sure we hit up. I got a Walmart right down the street from me, so I'll make sure because we want to press it right into use at the next house party. Make sure all the provisions are ready and the associated ton of nacho cheese chips that we're going to need to make sure that we're packing down 6 pounds of cheese in that can. You were off last month. And in your place, you line up your wife, Rochelle Reed, to fill in for you. And to me, one of the best interviews of 2024, and no recency bias on my part, just one that I had waited literally years for. Did you get a chance to listen to it? And if so, what did you think?
Yes, and I thought you could tell she was very nervous at the front. She opened up a little bit, but I think you did it with the questions, opening her up. She didn't know how it was going to go. And so you kind of eased her into it a little bit. But I thought it was great. I thought she did a good job. And, I think that's the very first podcast she's ever done solo other than our How to Barbecue Right podcast. So you got to feel special on that.
Oh, I mean, it was such an honor. And look, I get it. It's a lot easier to always think about what an interview is going to be like if you also know you're never going to be interviewed. And then once it's happening to you, I mean, this isn't the radio. We're not in major market LA or New York City, Chicago, what have you. But still, once you're on something, and it is a live scenario, it's not recorded either. So what you say is what you say, and you're out there. I can certainly understand where it would be a little nerve-wracking, especially if she doesn't have the reps of being just a singular guest on other shows. So the fact that she did it was great, and in your place was doubly great. So certainly appreciate it. I'm glad you liked it as well. When you were on in November, you let it out of the bag that you were going to be going on a bison hunt in North Dakota.
That's right.
So now we're here in January. We need to get the full recap of how this whole thing goes down. High level, because I don't know. Is there a difference between buffalo and bison? Are those interchangeable terms?
They are in North America, especially. There's really not a American buffalo. It's the American bison. People just call them buffalo. I guess because they're a little similar to like the African Cape buffalo or water buffalo a little bit. Those are the true buffalo, but this is actually the animal's a bison. So I don't know where the buffalo terminology came from, but that's what I've always known it as.
How does this trip actually come together? What's the genesis?
So I've got some buddies here locally that we were actually cooking in a barbecue contest this past summer, and they had a trip up and they had someone back out, and I just happened to be there, and they was like, "Hey, you want to go on this bison hunt with us? We're going in December," and this was like July. And I was like, yeah, sign me up. I've always wanted to go bison hunting, which I've never even thought about going bison hunting. But it sounded like fun. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go. Put me down. And sure enough, it comes time to go. And, you had to pay our deposits or whatever, and they give you a place to stay. So all we really had to do was get to Bismarck, North Dakota. They picked us up at the airport, drove us out to the ranch, and we went from there.
What's the trip like up to Bismarck? Many connections. I can't imagine that's a great place to get into.
We flew through Minneapolis, go Vikings. Then we went to Bismarck from Minneapolis. So it wasn't bad at all. It was like right at 3-hour flight to Minneapolis, and then like a hour and 45-minute flight to Bismarck from there. It wasn't bad. It wasn't hard at all.
Any reason you had been to North Dakota before?
No, I've been to South Dakota before. Been to South Dakota, but never North Dakota. And it was pretty desolate. I mean, there wasn't a lot there. It was really, really rural, a lot of rolling hills, a lot of cold, a lot of wind. People were super nice. I mean, so one day we got there, Greg, and it was unseasonably warm. Like it had got up to almost 40 degrees. Huh? And so everybody was out. We went to town one day, and everybody was out in town. They were happy. They were doing their Christmas shopping. But the weather turned pretty quick there. The next day, a front came through, and the wind picked up, and it's blowing like 35, 40 miles an hour, and it's freezing rain. And when we get up one morning, it's like 12 degrees, and everything's a sheet of ice. And that part was pretty miserable. But the hunt went really well. I didn't know what to expect. I've never hunted bison. I've never talked to anybody that hunted one.
Let's not jump ahead. I'm leading you down the primrose path. I want to make sure we're aligning this up right in case anybody's looking at this trip. So what gear are you required to take with you as you make the journey up?
Well, you have to take a firearm. Of course, you need warm clothes and boots that you're comfortable walking in, because this is, we had to do quite a bit of walking. But really there's no special gear other than something to stay warm in because it's so cold there.
Do you feel like you're properly geared up? Because, you're a pretty well-known and well-revered hunter down in Hernando.
Yeah, we were. I mean, considering that it was warmer than when we first got there, I had everything that I needed. The last day, if I would have had to stay much longer, I would have tapped out. It was so cold, and you just couldn't stop that wind. But that was the very last day we were going to the airport, so I didn't have any extreme weather conditions, so I had plenty of clothes.
So it was you and how many other hunters?
There's 5 of us.
5 total. All
and
right.
Then we had a camera guy, and then we had another guy that just tagged along just because he wanted to see it.
Does someone go first as you start to hunt? Like before you actually get out to whatever you're going to do, is there a process that's put in place?
Yeah, so they kind of go over that the first night we're there. We're having dinner, and they're kind of telling us how things are going to go. These animals are so big. Even like a couple of the guys had just a regular bison tag, which wasn't for necessarily a trophy animal, but it was more of a juvenile bull. It's still a bull, and then they're still weighed 2,000 pounds, but they called them juveniles. They're huge. And then we had 3 tags for what they considered adults, trophy animals, and those were well over 3,000 pounds. And we had 3 of those. So they kind of split it up. 3 of the guys went one day, and 2 of us went the last day hunting.
Are you assigned a bison tracking expert in order to find them in the wild?
So that's pretty much how it goes. Like where we were, it's really big hills. They call it rolling plains, but they're like mini mountains to me. But you basically skirt around the high points in vehicles or side, UTVs, whatever they're using that day, and you're trying to isolate animals away from the herd because you can't shoot them when they're herded up. They say the other bison males will go crazy and will completely demolish the animal that's wounded when they see blood. They're a wild animal. They say even though it's like close to a domestic cow behavior wise, you can never get them to act the mannerisms of a cow. They're just too wild. And so these animals pretty much just go wherever they want to out on this ranch that's like 20,000 acres. There's no fences to hold. A fence won't stop them. Like they can pretty much go through whatever they want to if they decide to. But what we did was we skirted around these hills, and you spot one that you think is going to be a target animal, and you try to figure out a way to get to it as quietly and as quickly as possible without being detected. Because if they see you, they're going to leave. They're going to take off, and you're just going to be chasing them all day.
How quickly are you in the midst of bison to take down?
I would say there's a couple hours before. You see some, but there's, the terrain, you might not be able to get to it because it might be, a mile away. And then you try to figure out how to get to them, and you spend time trying to maneuver around, go where you think they're going, because they're just kind of feeding along. They're not paying too much attention to you because there's nothing else out there. But if they spot you or they hear you or something, that's when they're going to go the different direction. So we got on them pretty quick. I think both days it may have took a couple hours to spot the one that we wanted to target, and then it'd take you anywhere from one of them might have been the 20-minute hunt after we found the animal that we wanted, and then the one I hunted, we chased it for miles, and it seemed like it just you never know how it's going to go.
Do they recommend a caliber of firearm that's most efficient in murdering bison?
You need a large caliber gun. They didn't really tell us, which one you could use. They told us that the most dangerous was a bow and arrow. So like if you'd have wanted to shoot one with archery equipment, you could. But the guide actually said he's only done it 3 times, and it was very sketchy all 3 times. It was like you have to get so close to them, and these animals, they're unpredictable. I mean, they can run 40 miles an hour. They can jump a 7-foot fence. So you can imagine it's pretty tough. But so to put it mildly, I took a 300 Win Mag, which is a pretty large rifle. And I shot the animal that I shot. It took 4 times to bring it down. And it just took the shots. It was almost like a bee sting to it.
Do you think that the bison is thinking, like after that first shot, hey, maybe this guy is going to stop shooting me and maybe I'll just go on with my day? Or do you think the bison knows that his time left on this earth is becoming increasingly limited by literal seconds?
It seemed like they didn't even realize it. Like to me, I mean, because the other animals, when I'm hunted and we've harvested animals, most of them typically hear a gunshot, they get hit by something, they take off. Unless you hit them like in the spine or somewhere that's going to be an instant, they can't move. But most of the time they take off. These animals, it was just like something poked it. It wasn't even, it sounded like a drum hitting it, like a bass drum, but they just absorbed it and would just stand there and keep eating. That was pretty amazing to see an animal that size. And I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't agree with hunting and stuff like that, but it was really cool.
At any point, and God, I hope not, but at any point, did you think you were going to have to go hands-on in order to finish off this majestic beast in the field?
I did get down to the last round I had with me because we had walked, I don't know, a couple miles from the truck where I just grabbed a handful of shells thinking, you're going to do one shot and done. And I think I had 6 with me and I shot 5 times. And so if I would, that's what I told the guy. I said, I guess I'm going to have to hit him with the gun if this doesn't work. Because
you take out the knife and like bleed him out, right?
Jump on his back and bleed him out. Yeah,
that's right.
Man, I tell you what got me the most, Greg, was I was so impressed that Native Americans were able to take these animals with sticks and stones and spears and stuff like that. For them to be able to harvest and to utilize that animal was amazing, because I saw what it takes from high-powered weapons to bring them down, and it's just they're probably it's got to be the toughest four-legged animal in North America. They would give a grizzly bear a run for his money.
Oh, well, no doubt about it. All right, so let's talk turkey here. Where does it go after the field, and how does it get there?
So they call a guy that comes out there with a tractor, and it usually takes a while because he's driving the tractor, way out in the plains, and he picks these animals up by the hind legs, and they're huge. I mean, I got pictures of all this stuff, and it's unfathomable how big they are. Well, what they take it back to the road, and usually they have a big truck with like a flatbed that comes out to the road, and that's what they load them on, and they take them back to the ranch, and they hang them up on the tractor and just go to skinning it. And they get ladders out, because I'm talking grown man, 6 foot tall, is still on a 8 foot 8 foot step ladder to try to skin this animal. That's how big they are.
Before it's processed in any form or fashion, do you get a validated dead weight on it?
I lost you there, Greg. I'm sorry. Kind of modulated.
Yeah. Did you get a validated dead weight on it before any processing happened?
They didn't have a way to, no, because it was like snowing where we were trying to clean these animals. And so they didn't have a way to weigh it like then. But the guy said that the 3 we shot were definitely over 3,000. He estimated mine to be about 3,400 pounds.
Wow.
A live weight, I don't know what it would have been. I'm imagining it's still well over 2 after it was quartered up.
How much meat is being shipped back to you before you get it processed?
So we brought it all back. We had another guy go up with a trailer, and we insulated it, and we filled it up with ice, and that's how we brought all the meat back. We brought back well over, I want to say it was almost 6,000 pounds of cut up, of quartered up bison. And then we found a guy in Mississippi that came up. He's a mobile butcher. He was a USDA certified mobile butcher. He came to the farm, and we went at my buddy's farm where we had all the meat hanging. And in 2 days, they had all of that meat processed. Now, a lot of it was ground, because they said these older animals, they told us, before we ever shot them, that you're going to be better off grinding these older animals. Now, the younger ones, they're fine to cut all the primals out of, but these other animals, they're 10 plus years old. They're tough. They've been out there through all these winters. So you can imagine that meat's a little tougher. So he said it eats better ground than it does in steaks. But I did get some steaks out of mine, but the bulk of it is all ground.
Have you made burgers and stews and tacos and all that stuff so far?
I've cooked some of the ground meat already, yes, and it's fantastic. It's way better than venison. The meat I had, the bison that I had, it's like, it's so fresh. It's very lean. It doesn't have a lot of fat, but the flavor is really, really good. Cooks up great.
If I blindfolded you and put a spoonful of ground chuck in one spoon and a spoonful of bison, instantly you can tell the difference, or will it take a couple chews?
Side by side, you could tell. It's just a different flavor. It's not like wild or gamey or anything. It's just it's richer to me. It just has a unique, it has its own taste that's different than like store-bought ground beef.
Has it inspired you to take someone up on an offer of safari where you might be able to go take down an elephant if the opportunity presents itself?
There's a lot of animals in North America that I haven't hunted before I would go, but I do have a buddy that guides in Texas, and he goes over to Africa every year and goes to South Africa and hunts. And there's the place he goes has 47 different animals that you can hunt on this one ranch or whatever. And he's shot a bunch of them, and he says it's amazing. So that's kind of giving me a twist to want to go over and shoot some of these just to say I did it, because when else are you going to get the chance to go to Africa? That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you go, because I have zero interest in going, and then I'll just live through you like we just did this North Dakota trip. This is Malcom Reed. You can, of course, visit him over on YouTube, which is howtobarbecueright.com is the website, and 1.8 million viewers subscribed to him as of a little bit earlier today. Malcom, always appreciate the time, appreciate the in-depth recap for those that might be lining up for a similar hunt. Now they know what to expect, and we will talk to you in February.
Hey, can't wait, Greg. Go Vikings.
Go Vikings. That's right. No Browns, that's for sure. Pathetic football team. I said it before, I'll say it again. Like, Malcolm's Vikings are having the season I thought the Browns were going to be having this year. I mean, we can agree on that. Meanwhile, the Browns are a dumpster fire. Pathetic. In any event, Kevin Grothe is in the green room. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. Talk a little Memphis in May with him. If you're serious about your grilling game, then you need to check out the latest offerings from Pits and Spits. Let's kick things off with the Pits and Spits griddle. The gas griddle combines the power of a traditional grill with the versatility of a flat-top griddle. Engineered with precision, crafted from top-quality materials, the versatile griddle is set to revolutionize your outdoor cooking experience. Constructed of 304 marine-grade stainless steel and fully welded design, the griddle comes with 4 burners to accurately manage your heat zones and gets blistering hot with 80,000 BTUs, made with the Pits and Spits signature quality you've come to know and love. Now, for those of you building your ultimate outdoor kitchen, you have to check out the built-in pellet grill designed by the discerning grill masters at Pits and Spits and Fabricators, of course. They demand top-tier performance. This grill, the centerpiece for any serious outdoor kitchen. From low and slow smoking to high-heat searing, the grill can handle it all. Briskets, ribs, pizzas, veggies, you name it. This grill can cook it. With Pits and Spits legendary craftsmanship, you can be confident it's built to last. With stainless steel construction and a design that's as reliable as it is versatile. So, if you're ready to take the cooking game to the next level, head on over to pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central and use promo code BBQ Central for a free spice pack with orders over $500. We are back to talk Memphis in May, because it'll be here before you know it. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back, and we thank Malcom Reed for joining us last segment. Don't forget, you can check him out at his website, howtobbqright.com. If you're a fan of competition barbecue, either from a team perspective or a spectator perspective, then you know about the event that takes place in Memphis every year in May. The past few years have been some of change, some of turmoil, but one thing has remained constant, which is the event always taking place and teams considering it to be one of the majors they want to win before the end of their competition careers. Here to talk about what the 2025 event will look like and some other items, as well as Executive Vice President of Memphis in May, first-timer Kevin Grothe joins me here on the show. Kevin, great to have you here this evening. Before we get going with all the Memphis in May talk, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. Do you ask for permission from the father before you propose marriage to the girlfriend. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's a Southern tradition, but actually probably a family tradition that most parents would teach their sons to do.
62% of the YouTube voting public in agreement with you and me, Kevin. I also believe that's something you should do. Before we talk about what Memphis in May is going to look like this year, maybe a little background on you since it's your first time on the show, and also how you get involved with Memphis in May in the first place.
Sure. I've actually been at Memphis in May for 19 years, so no stranger to barbecue. Been in Memphis, I think around 25 years. Met a good North Mississippi girl, so I don't think I'm leaving anytime soon. I love being a part of Memphis in May. I'll remember when I first arrived to Memphis. It was May 1st of 1996. 2 weeks later, I went to my very first World Championship barbecue cooking contest. I was hooked ever since, and I could always remember calling all of my friends back home from Ohio and Iowa, which is where I grew up before coming down to Memphis, and telling them what an incredible event it was. And when 19 years ago, I had the opportunity to actually hang my shingle here, I thought, do I give up a day or two of fun for a career that could just be fascinating 365 days? Easy answer, and here I am.
What is the specific year we're celebrating at Memphis in May this year?
This will be the 47th year that we will be producing the World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest. So it has been considered the most prestigious contest for several years. There was actually a poll done by USA Today a few years back, which it proclaimed us as such. And I think when you talk to the serious pit masters, they always talk about this as being one of the must as far as trying to stake your claim as being the best.
Memphis in May for years, decades, perhaps I should say, was more than just a barbecue contest. When I got into this, it was only about the contest, but as I started to do my own research, realized it was much more. And then when you read into the name, it's Memphis in May International Festival, and it's way more than just barbecue. So if you give us a little background on what that used to look like.
Yeah, so Memphis in May was founded with a way to try to help re-energize and bring the city together back in 1977. It has, just like any business or organization that's been around for nearly 5 decades, it's evolved over time. We've produced music festivals, the Beale Street Music Festival, for 45 plus years. We've done a Sunset Symphony. 10 years ago, we started a brand new event called the Great American River Run. We helped the city of Memphis celebrate its bicentennial in 2019. So we have always been the civic event, the premier celebration of all things Memphis. Our mission is centered around promoting Memphis culture. So music and barbecue obviously hit that bill, and the idea of the Great American River Run is to also kind of celebrate our heritage of being a bluff city and right on the banks of the mighty Mississippi.
Within the 19 years that you've been at Memphis in May, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen during your time?
Well, from a barbecue standpoint, I think I don't know if you remember I think it was an Oldsmobile commercial where they used to say, "This isn't your father's Oldsmobile." And I would say that that's very true of our barbecue contest. While it still has the term contest in it, we have realized over time that the affection, the sport of barbecue, while you may not want to compete on a circuit, so to speak, you still want to be known as having the best barbecue in your neighborhood, on your block, right? There's a lot of pride with that. And so it has helped grow the consumer side of the event over the last few years. And we have implemented several programs, and we have a few more twists that we'll be turning into here in 2025. So we're continuously trying to grow the brand and just barbecue in general. We believe barbecue is an inclusive activity, and we should take the lead in trying to make sure that it is inclusive for family, friends, and all involved.
What's the 2025 version of Memphis in May going to look like this year?
Yeah, the competition will still be the best of the best. You'll see 5-time champions like Myron Mixon and Chris Lilly with Big Bob Gibson's compete. Last year's winner is a 3-time champion, both Brad and Brooke from the Shed. They'll be back. And, it's almost like a who's who of a competition type of list, whether it be Heath Riles, and the list goes on and on of the greats who have been a part of the event and still continue to be a part of it from a competition standpoint. So that won't change. We don't want to interfere with the integrity of the event, the prestige of walking the stage and proclaiming that you're a Memphis in May champion. The world champion has been able to take that crown, so to speak, and really evolve it into incredible careers. When you see and watch television shows where they have television personalities involved, many of them got their start right there at Memphis in May, and they will tell you by winning it not only launched their careers, but from a financial standpoint, the money that you receive as winning the championship pales in comparison to what the prestige will generate for you from a financial standpoint.
What can teams expect from a payout perspective this year?
Yeah, our prize purse is now going to be in excess of $175,000. So nothing to sneeze at. The world champion will walk away with at least around $35,000 approximately. So some very good paydays. I think there are 80 plus opportunities to take home some cash with all the different categories that we have.
What can a spectator expect in a 2025 version?
Yeah, I think it is so much different. The old adage used to be that if you did not know somebody on a team, it wasn't worth going. And that is so not true anymore. We've implemented several programs, one being Barbecue Alley, which we have worked with our good friends with the Big Green Egg. We have brought in pitmasters to where for a small fee, you go around and try 5 different elements of barbecue and sides. So at one station, you might have pork ribs and baked beans. At another, you might have brisket and greens. And another station, you might have smoked turkey and mac and cheese, and the list goes on and on and on. So that has really become a very popular element, Greg, to the point where we started, I think, with 3 or 4 sessions. We're going to expand it. We're going to have 9 different sessions for that element alone. And then one of the other things that's been new in the last couple of years is we have partnered with Home Depot. They've been tremendous. And what we have done is collectively created the Home Depot Outdoor Kitchen. And it's a collaboration with us, them, their vendors, and the people who are ambassadors or culinary exports of those vendors. For the price of admission, and there is no additional charge to this, just for a price of a ticket, you could literally come at noon on a given day and stay till 7 p.m. and see demonstration after demonstration after demonstration from some of the most well-known people, whether it's a Tuffy Stone, a Mo Kassan, the list goes on and on again. And not only do you get to hear and see them in action, when it's done, you get to come up and meet them and try exactly the items that they were showing how to prepare. I mean, and of course, with Home Depot having the outdoor area, they have all the nice patio furniture for you to also to enjoy while you're there attending the demonstration. So those are just 2 examples of where consumers can be a part of it. And, everybody but likes to be an active participant. So maybe about 10 years ago, we partnered with Kingsford and created the Kingsford Tour of Champions, where you become a judge and visit 3 different teams that have placed at Memphis in May over the years. We give you a quick judging class and a scorecard, and you go visit those 3 teams and you determine who the winner of the Kingsford Tour of Champions will be. So lots of fun, different ways for somebody who doesn't know a team to be a part of it, learn, taste, which is always important, and just be having a great time at an event with family and friends.
Do you see Liberty Park as the permanent home for this event going forward, or are there potential other options that could be in the mix?
I would like somebody to define permanent location, because whoever knows how that might play out. Let's just say for at least for the short term, we view that as our home, and we're very happy. It has a lot of amenities that help keep, I think, our event vibrant and at the stature and size that people have known and loved over the years. And the great part about it, Greg, is they want us there. They see us as the anchor event tenant outside of football games. So they think we're very good to work with. We think they're very good to work with. They want to work with us to try to figure out how do we even make it a better event site. But from a competition standpoint, the teams will tell you it is amazingly easy from a load in, setup, and load out standpoint. And I think as we continue to produce the event there, we even saw last year where we figured a few things out to where we create consumer alleys, so to speak, to where the patrons who are coming, it's like going up and down a midway. And so as we continue to call that our home and having a great tenant or landlord, I guess you would say, in that, which is the city of Memphis and the folks who manage the stadium and Liberty Park, we're extremely happy and can't wait to stay there in years to come.
Last year, we saw the emergence of a contest called Smoke Slam, and they were obviously in direct competition with Memphis in May, will be again this year. And they were making a ton of announcements leading up to it. It has tailed tremendously going into year 2. Do you have a personal take on that event?
We're all about barbecue being inclusive. So from that standpoint, we love anything that helps promote barbecue and the sport of barbecue. Now, having said that, it did catch us a little off guard that it was going to go at the same time period as our event. And I can tell you, in talking with a lot of teams and sponsors and other folks who play an integral part from a programming standpoint, their preference, and they've shared that with the other event, that it not occur at the same time because they could get more involved in that event. Probably would even be better for the city as a whole. But from a Memphis in May perspective, we can't control that. All we could do is control what we do, make it the very best that we can be. And, that's exactly how we're going to approach each and every event that we produce, and kind of just let that take care of itself over time.
Last year, we had an embedded correspondence segment. We were talking about this whole thing going back and forth, and I had said it was kind of echoed with the embedded correspondents themselves. I said, something feels weird. They went through this entire renovation, which they put under the guise of Memphis in May asked for all of these renovations. We've built the park specific to them. They hold the contest. Everything gets ripped up. You're billed $758 trillion for damages, which is now locked up in courts, I would imagine, still. And all of a sudden, it seems like they don't want you. You get a different place to go, and then bang, here's another event that's just happening to backfill. I find it hard to believe you have an event of that size that all of a sudden just like falls out of the sky, that something is happening in the background. Was their communication to you guys one of support, or did you feel like all along something was snowballing in the background?
Well, I think from a music standpoint, if we take a step back, Greg, the producers of the music event that now is the first weekend of May had been doing a music event in the fall in Memphis. Matter of fact, our then president and CEO met with the organizers because they were curious to try to get a lay of the land of the whole music festival industry. They came to our offices, and we had conversations with them, trying to be helpful and giving them insight onto a music festival because they had never produced one before. So when we made the announcement that we were going to pause the Beale Street Music Festival in 2024, we weren't totally shocked that another music festival would come and fill that void. But I'd be remiss if I said we were shocked that that announcement came within 24 hours of our announcement of going away. Now, as it related to the barbecue contest, nobody had ever shared a word with us about the possibility of that, whether it be, and I don't know if anybody owed that to us or not. It's not for me to claim, but we found out about it the same way that folks like you and everybody else found out about it. And so it's kind of my analogy of it is like this, Greg, that if I was a country music promoter and I felt that I could produce an event better than CMA Fest, which is a mammoth, probably considered the country music event, right? Kind of similar to how some would kind of portray what the World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest is. If I was going to do that, I would maybe still think of it in Nashville just because of its heritage of country music, but I surely wouldn't do it the same time as CMA Fest. If I thought I could do it bigger and better, I would go prove and do that and make it bigger and better at a different time period.
Do you think there would ever be a time where the two events end up merging in some way?
You never say never to anything. But right now that doesn't seem very likely, only because I know that there have been folks who have asked them if they would consider moving dates, and it's a pretty simple, no, these are our dates. So they seem to be pretty well set on that. But that doesn't mean down the road that things don't change. And, whoever knows what will happen 5 and 10 years from now. This I will say, though. I know one thing, though, Greg. Memphis in May isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And people love this organization. We have very loyal patrons, the citizens. They've expressed how much they appreciate Memphis in May. I think it's been eye-opening across the board. And I tell you what, our volunteers, we couldn't, and for 47 years, could never have done this without them. They have stood up proud to be supporters of Memphis in May. And I tell you, there was last year, there was just some special energy, and whether it was from the teams who were there to compete to the volunteers, you could just sense a sense of pride of being involved with Memphis in May. And that made us as organizers feel really good because of the appreciation that was shown across all different specters.
We're months away at this point, Kevin, but give me your early pick for Grand Champ of Memphis in May this year.
If I did that, I already would have bet on my Vikings because you put me behind legendary Malcom. And, if I would have known that, I would have negotiated a different time slot than to have to follow him. But I'm like him in that I'm a huge Viking fan. I would have put my money on that a long time ago to write it out because I never expected a 14-3 season.
Yeah.
So to predict the winner is next to impossible. There's so many factors that take place into determining the winner. That's why we've been doing it 47 years. The most that any one team has won it is 5. And then there's 2 of those, as I mentioned earlier, 1 at 3, and then you have a few at 2, and then you have a bunch of single winners. So if it was easy to do over and over and over again, you would see repetitiveness. And that is, if you look over the winners list of 46 years, this will be the 47th, you will see such a variety of winners over those 4+ decades.
Kevin Grothe is the executive vice president at Memphis In May. The website, of course, is memphisinmay.org. Kevin, really appreciate you coming on, answering all the questions, giving us the insight, the background, and I wouldn't mind having you back here before the whole thing kicks off in May.
We would love to come back. Sorry it's taken us so long, but we're here. We'd love to be a part of your program. Like I said, just don't put me behind Malcolm the next time.
Copy that. Appreciate the time, Kevin.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care. He did just fine behind Malcolm. No worries about that at all. Certainly professional and a great debut appearance there from the executive vice president at Memphis In May. The website again, memphisinmay.org. You can follow him on Instagrams if you would care to, at Memphis In May, all one word. So there you go. A little background. Ohio guy. I'm Ohio. Living in Memphis now, giving us what it's going to look like this year in 2025. Both from a team, money winning, and then spectator perspective, all great to see and hear. And then, of course, talking a little bit about the new competition, Smoke Slam, and how that whole thing has been perceived, at least from Kevin's angle. We're not talking for anybody else. So appreciate him joining in. We will be right back to wrap the first hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Kevin Grothe for joining us last segment, Executive Vice President, Memphis In May. Next time, we might have the Chief Executive Officer, the new CEO. Was it James Holt leaving not so long ago? Mac, I believe, is the first name of the new CEO. MemphisInMay.org, the website, .org, at Memphis In May on Instagram if you want to give them a follow. We're a little over, so let's reset the clock and head to the second hour. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how you doing?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet 4 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show. Talking about all important items of the barbecue and grilling world, landscape, and or otherwise. We do it live here every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, being recorded for podcast in case the majority of you can't make it, which I know the majority of you can't. The numbers prove it out. And that's why I like the live listeners and watchers the most. You're taking time out of your Tuesday to huddle up with Squad. The show originating from
Palm City, USA. Cleveland.
Still to come on the show this evening, Sam the Cooking Guy. In about 10 minutes from now, and John Solberg will close the show after that. We say good evening to those of you watching this show tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch on Twitter, which is twitter.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can also watch on Facebook, YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. We have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. Do you ask for permission from the father before you propose to your girlfriend? 67% of you are saying yes, you do. 33% of you currently saying no, you don't. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 365, taking you back to December 27th of 2011. Being featured this week is a portion of the last show from back in 2011, now almost 14 years ago, as I was doing a year in review style show. So this Friday, you will journey back with me as I take a look back at top guests, top stories, and everything else that John jammed inside an 8-minute window to wet your whistle and hopefully get you to circle back, check out the whole show. Maybe in 2025, this year, again, which is rapidly coming to a close, I will do my best to keep weekly notes on the show, to do a recap at the end of the year. Those are always fun. But I also feel like those are somewhat lame and require very little work because you're just puking back what's already happened over the course of the months of that year. So maybe indeed I will not do a recap, and I will not,
Andrew, you are
not going to do a recap. But maybe, I mean, I am a hypocrite and I'm always living in the middle of the state of hypocrisy. So never trust what I say. I can be very committal right this very instant, and then an hour from now, I'm completely on the other side of the coin. It doesn't matter. This is not, if you're new to the show, you might be asking yourself, how can you be so flippant with calling yourself a hypocrite? I am what I am. I used to hate pellet cookers. I used to rail against pellet cookers. And then one day somebody gave me a pellet cooker, and I immediately became a lover of pellet cookers. Hypocrite. That's only one of, I don't know, a billion hypocritical reasons. I don't think that's a word. Hypocritical reasons that I'm a hypocrite living in hypocrisy, the state of, the capital of, the state of hypocrisy. But I'm pretty sure I won't. Because I'm not a good note to, like, I know in January, I'm like, this is the month I'm going to do it. And I might even do it for 2 or 3 shows. I'll take some pertinent notes to run back. But then, like this year, this year was a little out of the ordinary because we had Christmas and New Year's falling on subsequent Tuesdays, which really blew the ass end out of the end of the year. Still released new content into the feed, but from a live show perspective, it didn't help. That doesn't normally happen. I think as we had figured it out 9 years from now, that might happen again. So we got a little time in between now and then. I think I would rather just continue to bring you new content instead of taking a week or what could be 2 weeks worth of shows talking about best moments. I mean, most of you will have been here for all of it anyway. Do you need the reburn? If not, you can, or if so, you can always just go back and listen to that year's shows. Why not? Help me out with the download numbers. You can do that. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the show by visiting the BBQ Central Show, thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe, both for the Best Moments show and for the Barbecue Central show's podcast feed, all on the same feed. Hour number 1 of this show on Wednesdays, hour number 2 on Thursdays, Best Moment Show on Fridays. Don't forget, if you would like to hear a guest or segment again that has been lost in the archives, or you think it's been lost in the archives, email our pal John, who will be showing up in about a half an hour. Let him know what you would like to hear. His email is John, Jon, John, Jon, at thebbqcentralshow.com. That's Jon. He'll do his best to meet your expectation. We'll talk about that as we close out the show tonight as well. Also, I do want to give a special note of thanks to show fan and evidently budding hot sauce maker Dave Benson. Dave had emailed me a number of weeks ago, said, love the show, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm getting ready to, or I've just started to bottle a hot sauce. Do you have any interest in trying it? I said, yes. Rule number 3 of the show, if it's free, it's me. So he sent some my way. I had no idea he was going to be sending me a full case of his hot sauce. Flamin' Dave's hot sauce. This is what it looks like if you're interested. The picture, very scary. That man is either opening his mouth and a flame is going into his mouth, or it's so hot he has opened up his mouth and a flame is now shooting out of it. I'm going to go with the flame is shooting out of it because it's so hot. I have 1 and 2 and 3 bottles to give away. So if you're interested, sorry, Dave. If you're interested in a Flamin' Dave's hot sauce sample, it's not a sample. I mean, it's a full-size bottle. I'll ship it to you. All you have to do is be one of the first 3 emailers. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com, and in the subject line, put hot sauce, and I will send one of these out to you. Now, in full disclosure, and again, this is just my heat palette. Your heat palette might be different. On a scale of 1 to 10 of Flamin' Dave's hot sauce, again, picture very scary. On a scale of 1 to 10 for me, 1 being hardly heat and 10 being melt your face off. This is 0.5, maybe trending to 1. I've tried it 3 different times on varying different food platforms. It's very flavorful. It's got a great vinegar essence to it. Heat-wise, it's not going to melt your face. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're really into praying for ice cream the next day, if you know what I mean, this is probably not going to be your cup of tea. But if you'd like flavor, if you like essence of vinegar, and you like a very mild background heat that you can put on everything, then Dave's hot sauce might be something that you're interested in. So first 3 emails in, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com, with the subject line hot sauce, will get you a sample of said hot sauce. Dave, again, thank you very much for the samples. I've given some to Army Steve. Army Steve, big fan. Loves it. Couldn't stop talking about it yesterday. Gave it to him earlier in the afternoon. He went home, started trying it on everything. Maddie said this morning, Steve loves that stuff. So Steve loves it. He was Soldier of the Year in 2024. I don't know, but it was Soldier of the Year. Sam, the cooking guy, is ready to go. Before we get to Sam, we're telling you about Primo Grills. Oh, yes. A succulent oval ceramic cooker. And I mean succulent, not that the grill is juicy, but it makes juicy food. Did you realize that the ceramic environment in the Primo Grill produces some of the most humid and moist cooking environments that you can possibly get? I had no idea such an environment existed until I started cooking on my Primo oval ceramic grill. I have the XL. I suggest getting that size myself, or the bigger double XL, which is obviously bigger. It's got a lot of accessories. People having extra money over the holidays looking to buy a new grill. looking to buy a ceramic cooker, there's a couple different ones to choose from. If I may, Primo's the way to go. The only one you can set up a real 2-zone fire in. It's oval shape, allows you to do that. Get the coals all the way over to one side or the other. Put your meat on the opposite side of the coals, true indirect. And then you really want to turn up the heat, literally. You can open up all the dampers. You can even pop the top for a couple minutes. This thing's going to ramp up to high heat grilling temperature. You can drop the grill grate down even closer to the coals. You can finish with a sear. Maybe you're doing a flank steak. Maybe you're doing an inside skirt. Maybe you've done a reverse sear. Now you're ready to finish it up. Whatever. Primo Grill's the way to go, especially in charcoal ceramic cooking. There's no other comparison. Only sold through dealers. Find one near you. PrimoGrill.com. You can do that. And be prepared to be inundated in good ways with more accessories for this thing throughout the year. Stand by for that. And stand by for Sam the Cooking Guy.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Hey, welcome back to this portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker. Most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Available in 3 sizes still. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a professional. It's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com. Tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. If you call in, maybe, just maybe, you will talk to owners Noah or Amber or both of them if they're feeling froggy. Had a great conversation with Noah a couple days ago. He's doing well. Everything is looking great for Pit Barrel in 2025. So we'll look to catch up with them soon. Hey, gang, it's that time of the month where we welcome in our favorite YouTube cooking personality, cookbook author, TV host at times. He is a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer, unquestionably. It is Sam the Cooking Guy. Sam,
Wait, if they're feeling froggy?
Yeah, froggy. You never heard that?
What are you making up words in Cleveland?
No, you never heard that saying?
If somebody said, "Oh, he's a little froggy today," I think that
no. It has to be specific use of that phrase. He's feeling, or she, he or she is feeling froggy, not he's froggy. That could be misconstrued as maybe having a frog in the throat or not feeling well. This one is feeling like a little different than their norm, feeling froggy. If you walk down the streets of San Diego and stop somebody and say, "Hey, buddy, you feeling froggy today?"
So go, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
No,
nobody's
like,
going to know what I'm talking about. No one is going to know what I'm talking about.
I'm not Steve Harvey, Sam, but I'm willing to bet.
You're making up words now. You're making up words.
I think 10 out of 10 people that you would stop and say that to will know it 100%. I guarantee it.
Chance.
Why? Because you speak the Queen's English from Canada and you've never heard that?
Thank you for recognizing that.
Yes.
You're telling me I stopped 10 random people on the street.
Is Kelly in the house?
Yeah, she's...
Get her over here.
I'm not getting her over
Run it by her right now. Hold her off camera. Say, "Hey, Kelly, have you ever heard the phrase, are you feeling froggy?" I guarantee she's heard it. She's in the hair salon.
I'm not doing it.
Come on. You're scared.
My time asking her a question that I know that she's...
Good. You've answered my question. That's fine. You're scared. You don't want to be proven wrong in front of the millions.
Stop it. Listen, anybody that's sitting in front of a computer watching this right now, just text Greg.
Yes.
Text or email, whatever you do.
You're watching on YouTube. Tell me right now in the instant chat, have you ever heard?
Do you recognize the way that Greg
are you
is
feeling
using the term frog?
Yes. Are you feeling froggy?
I'd like to see how many.
All right,
maybe I'll eat my words.
I'll yell them out as they start to roll.
They don't say that in California, and they don't say it in Canada.
And they absolutely say it. It's an American thing. It must be an American thing. Look, nevertheless, Malcom
I live in
was
an
out.
American city.
You're an American now, by the way, so get with it.
I recognize
Or I'll
that.
send you back to Canada, which is going to become the 51st state, evidently.
Never going to happen.
I don't know. I question nothing anymore.
Going to
I
happen.
question nothing. Matt Osman has heard the phrase, "Are you feeling froggy?" That's one.
There's
one
okay.
of many. There'll be one of many.
No, I don't want people just. I don't want people just writing that have heard it. I want to see 10 random people say yes or no. I don't just
that's
want
what's
you
happening,
writing
right?
in if you've heard it.
Well,
just making sure.
This guy
Let's
right
get
here.
back to.
I've heard the phrase.
One guy.
Matt Osman, right?
Yeah. Has he heard the phrase used like that, or just he's heard somebody
there's
say?
There's not another way to use it. Like that's the phrase.
Never
It's
been.
singular. It lives in a vacuum.
Stop it.
Malcolm was off last month. You were off last month as well. Had some great guests in replacement. But we're happy to have you back here in 2025.
And I was not with Malcolm.
So were you? I know where Malcolm was, and I know you were not with him because you would have definitely mentioned that at least 50 billion times in many different ways and many different reasons. Were you, were you Mexico or were you in Hawaii?
I was in Hawaii. It was the island of the Big Island.
The big is the Big Island. Is that the name of it? The Big Island.
Hawaii.
Hawaii. All right.
The island of Hawaii. Yeah.
There's another one. Feeling froggy. Absolutely.
Big Island.
Have you been multiple times to a Hawaii?
Yeah, I've been multiple times. Never been to the Big Island before. And we a fan that has a great VRBO wrote one day and said, "Hey, if you'd like to use it, we'd be happy to lend it to you. You could have it for nothing. Go there and shoot." Really? Yeah.
Wow.
And so we looked at it, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So we shot 3 things there. And then the crew split. My wife and her sister came, and then the 3 of us stayed a week. It's a great spot.
For no money?
If you go I mean, we had to get there.
Yeah, but
buy
like
food and stuff.
Any chance?
No.
Any chance
you can use it?
I mean, I do a show. I could do a show from there. I will pay to get out to Hawaii. I have a passport because I know we're leaving the country. So, I mean, I'm happy to do that. You make an intro?
It's not my place. It's not my place to say.
Well, you make an intro.
If you go to any of the, here's what we did. We made Loco Moco. You've had that before? No. It's rice with a hamburger patty.
Yeah.
Gravy and a fried egg.
Yeah. I saw that.
We made that.
Yeah.
We made garlic shrimp. One of the greatest things we've made. It's a Hawaiian staple.
You made
Really
something in leaves.
We did. It's called lau lau.
Lau, right.
Taro leaves on the outside and tea leaves around the inside. It's basic. I mean, every culture's got some version of stuff being, cooked, steamed in leaves. It was really fun. It was really super delicious. But if you go to any of those videos, there's a link in the description that will take you to this place. It's in Kona. It's at 1,000 feet. You're not right on the beach. The Big Island has very few beaches. It's a lot of volcanic remains.
Well, it is a volcano.
Yeah, and this place was insane, and it was really fun, and it was just really nice to be away. And anyway,
I think I don't like the name of the Big Island. Like Hawaii is the state. Can't they name it something else than the Big Island?
It's the island of Hawaii.
Yeah, but
I know. Gotcha. What is big?
It seems redundant. It's Hawaii is the
that
state,
would be the big large island.
Hawaii.
Would be redundant. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's like Hawaii is the state. Hawaii is the island. Like what?
Listen,
you were in Kona.
Yes.
Oh no!
We were in Kona.
Did you look up Lance Owens, barbecue realtor to the stars, who has made
is that
pilgrimage?
Where he is?
Yes.
He's in Kona?
Oh, no. Lance, I apologize. I had no idea. He would have, talk about free stays. He would have lent you his multi-million-dollar estate for you to stay in and run rampant in. Oh, he's going to flip his lid when he hears it.
I knew he was in Hawaii. For some reason, I thought he was, sort of mainland Hawaii, Oahu, that kind of stuff.
I don't know what that is, but he lives in Kona. Like a lot of Kona he owns.
That's where Oahu is, where Honolulu is.
Right.
Diamond Head. Yeah.
Right. Dog the bounty hunter.
Okay.
Wait, I forgot to ask you the YouTube poll question of the week.
Yeah.
Do you ask for permission from the father before you propose to your girlfriend in marriage?
Yes, 100%.
71% of the YouTube voting public saying yes.
I think it's the right. I really think it's the right thing. I think it sets the right tone. And like it's an old school thing.
Did Max ask Jilly's dad?
Absolutely.
Yes. Because you told him, look, you better do that, or he just knew that inherently as a man?
No, he probably knew it because he heard me talk about it when I did it with Kelly's dad.
Yeah.
Did you?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a man.
71% says you should. That's
I was shocked. So I think what we're contending with here, although it has trended up much higher to a majority yes.
Yeah.
In the beginning, first hour, it was closer to 50-50, like low 60s with a yes.
It'd be interesting. I think it'd be interesting to know if the 30-ish% that say no, do they just don't think it's important, or were their situations one that it didn't make sense? Like the woman had no relationship with her father, which is possible. And in that case, you wouldn't.
Sure.
I wouldn't bother.
So I think like the first time you're going to get married and you are sub
younger
40.
Yeah.
If you're sub 40, you probably ask. If you're over 40, if it's your second marriage or your 10th marriage, and you barely know if you want to live anymore or not, then you probably don't go and ask the father for your, his daughter's hand in marriage. You're just trying to get through the day.
If you barely want to live anymore, is that what happens when you hit 40?
Well, I'm saying like if you're in that kind of mindset, above 50.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. Regardless of the age I was, if the woman had a father and had a relationship with the father, I would still ask. I don't care if it's my first or my third. I still would ask. And I think it gets even more charming the older everybody gets.
If you were dating Kelly right now and her dad was alive, you would ask him? Oh, he is? Yeah, you would ask him? You're a 62-year-old guy, you would ask him?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
I'm not 62, but yes.
59?
No, the other way.
Oh, well, you don't look a day over 62.
Thank you.
Yes. I feel like the older you get, you probably care a little less.
Look, I think it's such a nice move that I would do it regardless of the age or the situation.
Yeah.
Assuming that the woman had a relationship with the father.
Yeah, that would be weird to find the estranged father who has no relationship to ask. That would be going the extra mile, though, for sure.
That would be going a stupid extra mile.
Yes.
Why bother?
What about
but she has a relationship.
If he thinks you're a douche,
am I
you still
ask?
Do it anyway? Like, there's no way you're going to win this guy over. You're a douche. You're no good for her. Blah, blah, blah. Are you going to put yourself through that?
In that case, probably not. But
what about, as Brian Vstrom just wrote in the instant chat, what if, on the very rare occasion, the woman decides she's going to ask the man, does she go to my mommy and say, hey, Mrs. Rempe, can I marry your son?
I think if she wants to do that and both the parents are alive or together, you go to both the parents. I think that'd be a cute move.
Yeah. That's a good question, Brian. Really good.
It's a good question, yeah. I imagine if a young woman came to me and Kelly and said, I'd like 5 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
I love your son. I know this is a little unconventional, but I would like to ask him to marry me, and I would like to ask your permission first.
Yeah. That would be wild.
She would have won me over with that one little question. Listen, there's an expression, you don't marry the family. But you do, really.
Yeah.
You do. You live with the family. I mean, listen, you want to have you want your other half to have a relationship with your family, and you want to have one with theirs. I know it's not always possible. I know not everybody gets along, but I'm telling you, life is a lot easier when everybody does get along, when all the sides can do this.
I got to make an observation.
Yeah. Can't
on
wait.
On your cooking videos.
Yes.
You're wearing an iPhone watch?
Oh God! Why do we have to have this conversation?
You had
why are you
long.
So
like, do you remember my true undying fandom for you, where I went out and bought the same watch that you were wearing in the beginning, the Nixon 5150 chronograph, and then you were wearing a different watch.
Beside that, the shitty watch I bought in Singapore.
Why do you don't want to go back to the Nixon?
I might.
I
happen to like this one right now.
No, you've set a precedent on wearing a real watch. You need to get back to that.
Very nicely, by the way.
But it's not about keeping time, right?
No.
Certainly, it can
it's
tell
now about
the time.
other things I can do. I can now take I'm now down to one dog.
Oh.
You know, we lost a dog last week.
I was going to talk about that. Wait, I got to show you this. This is gonna look really bad. I don't mean this. How it looks, but you wear a watch.
But
I got that. I can get all the same stats using that. How about that?
You have to
that ring.
You had to put on that. You had to put it on that finger.
Yeah, I can't put it on the other fingers. I got a wedding ring here, and I got my grandfather's ring on my other ring finger.
I like the fact that you've got your grandfather's ring on.
Yeah,
that's cool. Listen, I don't know.
I want a commitment that you're going to go back to a real watch.
I'll go back to it from time to time, but right now I happen to like this. I go through stages of watches. You've seen that before.
Yeah.
I had the Nixon. I had one Nixon for a while, then another Nixon, and then that piece of shit from Singapore. And
we got to get
that.
We got to get that thing figured out.
I got that thing fixed.
That's a beauty.
Oh boy.
What are we cooking for the rest of the month? What can we look forward to? What's on the agenda?
What have we got coming up? What did Max just send me? Hold on. Max just sent me. Oh, jeez, we made this.
Is it just me, or are part-time Chance and Max looking more alike? Can you ask that in a video?
I can get them side by side in a video if you want.
I mean, ask the audience. I mean, not them, of course, but I think they have started to look more alike.
They're morphing?
Yes, it's bizarre. And it's like part-time Chance morphing more into Max, not the other way around.
Wait, part-time Chance morphing into Max?
Yes.
I hear you.
Have you not noticed that?
No. But you know what the problem
is?
Remember, you have children. You're with them every day as they're growing up. And somebody comes over and they go, oh, holy shit. When did she get so big? You don't notice because you're with them every day. Mm-hmm. I'm with those two boys a lot. I don't think I'm seeing any difference.
Yeah.
I think it may take the outside eye. I'll ask that question.
If you can remember, I think you should ask it at the end of the video.
Side.
Get them there side by side. I forget which one it was. One of them was up on the...
Oh, Chance is always up on that thing.
Is it the burger you were just cooking or whatever?
Chance stands on that counter to get those shots.
Yeah.
Every time. There's at least a few shots he's up there getting.
Great shots. But I looked at as he was coming down, and maybe it was
like Mac?
Maybe it was the Wagyu steak thing. I don't know.
That ridiculous
for whatever reason they were like right there. I was like, Jeez, look at these two guys. They look alike all of a sudden, and they look more like Max together.
That ridiculous tomahawk. That was
Wow.
effing delicious.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was $700 worth of delicious.
I was worried until like later in the video when you had that kettle fired up and you threw that steak on. Immediately the flamethrower turned on. You're like, I don't understand why the flame is going
I don't know
off.
what I was thinking.
The top
Max
is
goes,
off.
"Oh,
The
it's
thing
the
is full of
Wagyu
fat.
fat."
I mean, this is a
Oh, yeah.
fire recipe here.
Yeah. We worked it out. Cooked
Yeah,
it beautifully,
looked
by the
great.
way. It's great. It was great.
How much does that cost?
That was $700.
Wow.
And look,
Wow,
it's 4 pounds, and of course you're paying for the bone. And the thing came with the bone broken off of the whole steak.
Were you like pissed?
It is what it is. Honestly, it just made it sort of easier. I mean, look, in Sam the Cooking Guy and the Holy... Wait, hold on a sec. I got it right here. Here, let's do this. In Sam the Cooking Guy and the Holy Grill, thank you very much. My cookbook, my grilling cookbook. There's this. Where is it? Stand by.
I have it right
here. Piece of shit. Where is it? Hold
now
on.
available.
Let me find it. Wait.
Stores near you.
Wait. Beef.
In true Sam the Cooking Guy fashion, Sam delivers a book filled with incredibly delicious, creative, and easy-to-follow recipes, supplemented with mouth-watering photographs. It will help raise your backyard barbecue and grilling game to new heights. Said by me. You're welcome.
Greg Rempe. Okay, you see that?
Oh, yes.
As I say, that's the tomahawk from the book, obviously. That has the black rub that is in the book as well. That I say in the chapter that the recipe's in. You're buying a tomahawk just to show off.
Yeah.
You just want to be able to go, oh, look what I got to your next door neighbor or something, right?
It's a big D contest.
Exactly. It's exactly what it is. There are moments when you like to have, it's fun. Every so often I do a private event, and I mean, I'm doing one Friday night. And depending on the group or what I'm feeling like, there's always a steak component. And sometimes I do a tomahawk because people like it. Not many people really do it at home. So to be able to go, look at what I made. People are like, wow, that's fucking cool. And that was the point when Max, bought this A5, Japanese 4-pound tomahawk. Who knew the thing would come with a bone busted off the handle?
Yeah, bummer.
So what am I going to do at that point? I'm not go crazy. I just took it off and cooked it.
Yeah, better that way anyway. It'd be hard to cook that in the kettle grill. You'd probably have bone.
No, it would fit. It would have fit. Yeah. It would have fit in the Weber, but it would have been whatever. Yeah. I don't have a XL Primo, so I wouldn't know. But I do. I have to say this. When I first started cooking, I had no interest in charcoal. I had no interest in briquettes whatsoever. I said, when I want to eat now. I don't want to wait. I've since learned that meat needs to rest outside of the fridge before you cook it. In that time, you can get your fire going wherever you're going to get your fire going. And things taste so much better on charcoal or briquette. They really do.
I'm a fan.
And I bought B&B. I bought my manager a Weber for the holidays.
Yeah.
And I took a big bag of B&B. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so I got to let you go because I got the executive producer of the Best Moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less coming up.
Johnny Boy.
Behind Johnny Boy. So
Johnny
we have a
Boy.
Special
he's a good man, that
anniversary. He's one of the best. And in the meantime, go please subscribe to Sam the Cooking Guy's YouTube channel. Only 3.78 million of you are subscribed as of earlier today. YouTube.com/Sam the Cooking Guy or whatever the hell, or just link from his website, thecookingguy.com, and link over from there.
Let's dedicate this segment to Lewis.
Yeah,
we miss him.
Let's.
My Chihuahua.
Was that
for people that don't know? My
was
Chihuahua.
It unexpected?
He was diagnosed with kidney failure like 3.5 weeks ago, and the doctor said
How do you find out about that? You start pissing all over the house?
No, he had got a whole bunch of other things going on, and he went to the vet. And the vet's a very good, dear friend of ours. It's been our vet forever. Trust everything he says. And he says, look, maybe 3 months, maybe a year. Sometimes they can eke out more.
Yeah.
And that was, and 2.5 weeks later, it started to go downhill. And like 3 days later, we had to.
Yeah.
It was rough. I still can tear up thinking about it. Anybody that has a dog understands what that moment is like. But we took Summer with us. You take your other pets with you so they know that it's happened. If you have 2 pets, you walk out the door with one and that one never comes back, the remaining pet is going to be looking for its buddy. And this way, the dog knows what has gone on.
Really?
Really. I'm telling you, it was the most incredible moment. Summer was fixated on Lewis the entire time we were in the room. And after he got his second shot, about 30 seconds later when he was gone, Summer gave him a couple sniffs and then just started walking around the room.
Really?
The doctor said, did you just see what happened? And we all had, 4 of us were there.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, you have to do is unbelievable.
Well, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I wish that could have been me taking all of my cats to the vet and putting them down in place of Lewis so he could still be alive. I would do that in a second if that would fix anything, but it won't. And so I have to live with 4 cats. But nevertheless, sorry you have to go through that. So hope you guys are going to work through that soon.
Yeah, we're there.
And
we're
you're going to get another dog? Going to get another dog?
Yeah. Right. Not sure what yet, but we'll figure out something small like Lewis. I mean, he was 6 pounds. So we like
Chihuahua.
And Summer is, 16, so nothing bigger than that. Yeah. Anyway, listen, congratulations to you and Mr. Solberg, especially Mr. Solberg for his anniversary.
Indeed.
And thank you for having me back again. Missed you last month. It was lots of fun.
We'll see you February.
Yes, you will.
All right.
You'll see me February.
February it is. There he is, Sam the cooking guy right there. Thought maybe we're not going to see him in February. Maybe there's a trip coming up. All right, John, hang by. Or stand by. Or hang tight. It's like when you don't get it right the first time, the corrections just seem like just power through it. I can't. I got to be right. Hey, Big Papa Smokers' 15th anniversary. Celebrate Big Papa Smokers' 15th anniversary with the ultimate barbecue essentials, from award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces to premium grills and smokers. Big Papa's has everything the barbecue lover in your life needs. Discover Pitmaster favorites like Sweet Money, Double Secret, Cash Cow, Competition Brisket Steak Rub. For a limited time, use promo code REMPY15 at checkout. Get 15% off your entire purchase. Some exclusions apply. Visit BigPapaSmokers.com for details. That's Big Papa Smokers. Your food just got better because you're using Big Papa Smokers. We're back with John Solberg right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Craig Rempe.
And we thank Sam the cooking guy for joining us the last segment. This portion of the show being brought to you by McAuliffe Cigars. You step into the world of McAuliffe Cigars, where each blend is a chapter in a grand tale of craftsmanship and passion. The color line is winning it all. McAuliffe Black, crowned 2023 Cigar of the Year by Cigar Authority. The red was in the running for 2024. Fell short to the Perdomo 30th anniversary, but it's still a great smoke. And the blue is there as well. Each one different than the next. Each one better than the next. So great. Buy in box and save McAuliffeCigars.com. Helping me close the show tonight. Let's try again. Helping me close the show tonight is someone who has been associated with the show almost since the beginning, a loyal fan, turned super fan, turned contributor, and eventually turning into one of the most important cogs in the Barbecue Central show wheel. You might know him as the man who makes his own lump charcoal, or the man who roasts his own coffee beans, or the man who rolls his own cigars from time to time, or the man who has never ingested an episode of any barbecue television show at all, or as the second longest running embedded correspondent of the Barbecue Central show, or a Barbecue Central show's guest Hall of Famer, or perhaps you know him as the executive producer of the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. The list is long. The list is distinguished. But if you ask me what I associate with him, it's that he has been one of my closest friends and one of the most truthful people when it comes to the show and also in my life in general. It is my honor to welcome back John Solberg to the show. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, those are big words, Greg. Thank you. Thank you.
YouTube poll question of the week. And it's just you, not the rest of the Army here until the end of the month. Do you ask your girlfriend's father for permission to marry her before you engage her?
Yes.
Is that a culture thing? Is that a generational thing, do you think?
I think it probably is. I think you and Sam talked about a lot of issues where it wouldn't be appropriate to ask. There could be conditions where it's not. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to a lot of youths who are asking for marriage, and even if they know it is even a thing.
A Barbecue Central show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire breaking news across the country. Nay, the globe. And I am here with this breaking news story filing here in Cleveland, Ohio. January 5th brought 7 years of the Barbecue Central show's best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less.
Hey, everybody! Can I trouble you for a
Yeah, everyday Maggie. John, you have done it. 7 years, a time frame that seems, I guess, in podcast life, unfathomable to approach, and yet you have easily breathed into a seventh, or I guess what would be the beginning of an 8th year. So congratulations on what has been 7 years of pretty much unparalleled type shows out there.
I can't believe it's 7 years. My brain wouldn't even allow it. I had to count on my fingers. I'm like, no, it can't be. I must be making an old person moment error. But yeah, it's been 7 years.
This has to be one of the longest running barbecue related podcasts to date. So when I think of longest running shows, Barbecue Central show, obviously. But then I think we have to look at this stage, Malcom Reed's How to Barbecue Right podcast, been around a long time. I don't know if that is in the same 356 episodes. But outside of that, we might be 1-2 at this point. I don't think Pitmaster's podcast is there, even after, I don't even know if we count it, because how it started and how it is now is completely different. I don't think Grill Coach podcast is up there at this point, and then a lot of the other newer ones I know aren't even in the same realm. You've been pumping them out week after week. So at worst, it's you and Best Moment, or it's me and Best Moments in top 5 longest running and continually posting podcasts in the live fire space, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say we self-claim you're number 1 and I'm number 2. That's just how it's going down.
Yeah.
And challenge anybody to bring it forward, and if we're wrong, we'll stand corrected.
Yeah, show us your stats. We'll be happily able to show you our stats, which are verified and compliant, certified, not just compliant. They're certified stats. So let's look back 7 years ago, John. What has the journey been like getting these shows together? And if you can remember, what it was like getting that first show together versus what it's like getting 365 together.
Well, the first show obviously was absolutely terrible. We did. I mean, it just was. When I won't, like you and your first shows, I don't want to go listen to it again. I don't know that the music was different.
Oh,
I really didn't. The music was totally different.
I might have that.
I almost sent it to you.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
I was going to send it over because I still am. I'm going to drop some bombs of it into some of the shows in the future. But the first show is like you just said, "Here, go, it's yours." You didn't give me direction, which is a great thing. You said, give me these 2 chunks. If you recall, we did 2 chunks.
Oh, yeah, right.
10 minutes or less and put it together. So when you start looking at the archives, it becomes overwhelming. But you just sit down, start cutting, start listening. Before you know it, I put out a couple really bad shows and started to find a groove.
Here's, if this is going to play when I punch it, but here's the old intro. Oh, fucking, all right, hold on. It's technically there, but I gotta move it. Stand by. Soundboard. I gotta go to. What am I in? Stand by. VMix shots. Here we go. Nope, best moments. And this is what it sounded like.
Yeah, the Barbecue Central Show, let's go. The #1 barbecue show on the low. Your host Greg Rampy, the grilling master, spreading the info, getting to you faster, asking tough questions and having a blast. The Barbecue Central Show is here at last. The best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Come on, let's go.
I paid money for that, John, on Fiverr.
And and I still like it. Of course, I don't know. Maybe we wouldn't have made it this far with that.
And now, of course, we have this one.
This is the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. To put in your request for a future show,
that's the long one. All right. I think in the end, David Lee wins the day.
Yeah, and David actually sets my I do the ad read live every show. It's not pre-recorded. I talk it and my talk in, which I know is very short, but David I listen to him in. He sets my tone, he gets my energy where I want it to be for the show. So I really like, I think David Lee's a friend of mine, even though we've never met, because he gets me ready to talk what I'm going to talk into that intro.
How's the process changed for you as you're putting these shows together from how you used to do it to how you do it now?
The biggest process is finding the shows. And in the beginning, I didn't think about year 2 or year 3, right? I wasn't thinking that far down the road. So after the first, it started to become, there has to be a workflow that you have so many shows out there to go through. I have no idea how many shows you have. You say, I've got 300 shows. What do you have, 3,000 shows?
I think it's 1,800 at this point.
Right. It is a lot of content. So I had to develop a method to find the shows and then know what you already did. Right. And it sounds like it's not an overwhelming task, but after you're a year in, well, did I do that? What do I do? So it's just the process became if you'll notice, we stick to the calendar. March shows come in March. February shows come in February. And it all kind of works because events in barbecue happen in the same time frame, year after year in the same month. Let's look at the Royal or the Jack or, whatever's going on. So it was developing that process to look ahead for March in March and then scan through your, 2 decades of content to find something. And then the process to actually edit it out has pretty much remained the same the whole time.
Was it a game changer when I said, you know what, we got to quit doing 10 minutes? I see Guy the Cooking Sam in the instant chat is saying, I love the 20 minutes of the Barbecue Central show and 9 minutes or more. Was it just better to nip off that second one and just make it a true 10 minutes or less? I can see where it could get confusing.
It was it was it easier to do? Yeah, but it was also I had to do better. I felt that I had to produce a better segment. There wasn't anything to fall back on. And that could have just been a mental thing, but it was just a matter of, you got nowhere to hide. Whatever you pull has to be good. You've got to pick it into a good spot and take it out at a good spot because there's nothing else coming. I had to create a cliffhanger, right? I try to get a hook. So it actually made me what I think a better editor.
What makes a good barbecue best moments show? In other words, what are you hearing that triggers you think, okay, this is one that can make a best moments?
It just has to be really cool in my brain. And as much as I've been a part of the show, there's a lot of stuff out there I've never heard or I don't remember. I mean, when I listen to a show to pull a best show, I listen to the entire 2 hours because I am back 5 years, try to keep the 5 years or further in the past. So there's still 2 hour shows for the most part. It's not segmented out in the podcast like it is now. So I have to listen to that entire thing. And then something will just be like, oh, that's cool. Or, oh, that's, and then I'll flag that out and go after that piece because I enjoy it. And hopefully that translates over to the audience that they enjoy it as well.
Had there ever been a show where if there were 3 or 4 guests in one show, you said, okay, well, this could be a month worth of best moment shows?
I would say that I could do that for any show and they pick a show. I can do it. I can get you 4 shows out of any show that you do. I'm very confident of that.
Has there been a favorite best moment show that you've done? I mean, now it's getting to the point probably where you don't remember, from like 20 on, but is there a favorite that sticks out?
Yeah, and that's ever evolving, right? Like that changes. Like right now I have a new favorite, right? Like what's my favorite tattoo? What's my favorite child? But I have a show in the can that's coming up because it's like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. I can't believe that this actually exists because I wasn't aware of it. So I'll talk and I like, Chad Ward shaved his head on the air and his beard.
That's right.
Right. I don't want to give it away, but because I run a few weeks ahead, right? I'm not. So I'm like, how did I stumble? It was an accident. It wasn't set up. You guys didn't stage it. And so I'm like, even if you can't see it happening, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like the greatest show ever.
Wow. I totally forgot about that. So my favorite show is the one that recurs every year. It's the 12 Days of Barbecue Christmas or whatever the hell the title's called. That holds a lot of sentimental value for me. That's a snapshot in time for me that draws me to or connects me to other people in the barbecue community that I've actually remained on a talkative and somewhat friendly relationship with a lot of those folks that actually wrote that song. So that's easily my favorite in a vacuum. My favorite moment ever was, and I don't think it was a best moment show, but it was you doing your part of the work of putting together a best moment show where I think you called me and you said, hey, you had a phone call with John Willingham. Now, look, I don't know if anybody's even going to know that name. I assume if you're not into it as much as you and I are, or you like the history or whatever, like Robert Moss would know that name, and a lot of other successful historical competitors would probably know this guy. Memphis In May legend, made one of the first pellet cookers, made a thing called the Wham cooker. Just a legend. John calls me and he's like, hey, you had this conversation with John Willingham. And I'm like, I did? He's like, yeah. He's like, what did you guys talk about? And I'm like, oh, dear. I said, John, I got to tell you, you're reminding me of this. I don't have any recollection at all that I had a private phone conversation with John Willingham. And you proceed to tell me like what I was saying on the show and how great it was and what we kind of talked about. I didn't go into great detail, but without having that, I wouldn't have been reminded that I have forgotten about that. And it shows me like the sheer volume of stuff that gets pushed across over the amount of time I've done the show. And I regret not being able to remember that. I don't know if that's a regretful thing or not, but I feel bad that I can't remember what that conversation was like because of how much I respected him and admired him. And I just have no recollection of the call. You could say you did or you didn't. I wouldn't know. But here you were doing your work and you're telling me that I did. And I'm like, wow, this is great. I don't remember that. But it's just, you find the craziest stuff.
And it's there. And that's why hey, I could go pull a show and scrub into a segment. They're all set on the clock. I could find something real quick and get on. But I would miss so many great little nuggets. So that's why it's like I just invest the time. It happens when I'm driving. I'm going to listen to the show bell to bell because sometimes you just say the craziest shit sometimes, man. And I gotta grab this. Because you don't even know you're saying it. Like you don't even know you talked to John. Come on.
No.
So some of the stuff that comes out of your mouth is just golden.
Is there a theme for 2025 or are we sticking with what works?
I'm going to stick with what works. Just, stick with the calendar. I might bring the imaginary cutoff date a little closer. I get requests for more recent shows, and I don't want to ignore those requests. So I'm going to start working those, be a little more flexible. And there's this last year we had a great opportunity to go back further because you brought a lot of the old shows into a different format. That before I kind of had a bootleg method of getting them off of your old forum site, believe it or not. So if you recall, because that still floats out there.
Oh yeah.
So that's, I think I might just bring things a little tighter, maybe make it a 3-year limit. But there's so much great stuff back there that I'm not done mining it, if that makes sense. So I'm probably going to keep going down this path.
Is there a sound signature that you liked the best? You've heard how this show sounded when it started in 2008 and how it has progressed since then. Is there a favorite sound of mine that you're partial to?
There is. First and foremost, I love the evolution of the show, but and you'll have to probably frame it up the best. I'm going to say your SM7 days, your SM7B time, to me sounded very radio, very FM, which it's supposed to when you're on that. And I enjoy that sound the most, or that we'll call it the color of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And even you've changed and evolved as a host. So, and I'm going to call it you're a raw, high quality, but that FM DJ jock, and maybe that's what you were going for in that. So I'll call it. And help me, when was your SM7 days?
Oh my God. Like I wouldn't even begin to remember a year. Like to me, it's always 2 or 3 years ago, but I think this is the start of maybe the third year or maybe it's the second year of the shotgun mic that you've lent out to me. So, which I love having it. I've always had a mic in my face. Like you have one in your face. I've always been used to that. So it did take getting used to not having something in my face and my mind believing that I still had the sound that I wanted, even though there wasn't something in my face that was visually showing me I was getting that sound. But after I got over that, I think this has been the best I've sounded over the course of the show.
And that mic does sound great. And the reason why the mic is always in my face on your show is because that is a visual that you always wanted from us.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even when I talk, now I use that microphone you use now in my face as well, because I was using it for a different purpose. But those were the days when I enjoy the sound or the color of the show the best. And I think it was the days where you had a banner in the background. I think it was before you were a green screen.
Yeah, well, I think we did a couple different. I think we started with the banner in the back with that, and then at some point we morphed over into green screen, which those green screen days in the early days were pretty pathetic. But we struggled through it, and now we have a big vinyl sign from Cleveland that I got from a pro photographer that just sits in the background there and does what it's supposed to do. I've still never been a real fan of the video portion of this. I've watched interviews that I've done and hated them. I've listened to the same interview on the way into work in the car. I've loved it because I don't have to look at me and I don't have to look at the guest, and I can use theater of the mind. And sometimes there's things I know maybe nobody notices, but in my mind, I know I'm struggling for a word, or that didn't sound the way that I wanted to. And then visually seeing me think that, I can see that, but I can't when I'm listening to it on the show. It just happens in normal time, and I'm not visually thinking I can see the slip-ups or the loss for word or whatever that I get when I can see it. I don't get it so that's why I always tell people I would prefer everybody just listens to the show and not watch.
Yeah, and I think listening to the show, as you know, I listen to a lot of shows. I just explained my process. I think when you're watching, you miss things. You're watching it. We're watching something. We're distracted. We're looking at our phone. The world is different. If it's on your smart TV, you get up. You're not pausing it. So I think listening that's why I invite everybody each and every week to go back, click on the link, and actually listen to the show, because I also think it's a better experience. And I don't think I could do what I would do if I had to watch it. Does that make sense? I could
undoubtedly
just listen to it.
Yeah, listening is the best. Look, this is John Solberg right here. You can follow him on Instagram. He's continuing to pump Instagram content like nobody else. JS00 is the follow over there. Are you still running that website too, John, or you let that go?
I still have my own website.
JohnSolberg.com.
John Solberg. But that's just, someone who wants to get a hold of me for anything barbecue and grilling related. That's what that contact is for.
If you're just joining us and you didn't know anything about it, we have a best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less every Friday. The guy that we're talking to is the one that produces it each and every week and has been doing it for 7 years now. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast feed so you can get that new show coming up, which this week is a look back at the highlights of 2011, which as I listened to it was very funny. I actually went back and listened to the whole show to get the whole censor beep thing, which I was hoping was going to be in the best of, and then of course it was not there. So I immediately went back to go listen to that. Was a fun bit. So, John, I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done, for everything that you've been, and I only look forward to great things with us, between us in the future.
Man, thanks. And I've said it to you before. Quickly, let me say, everything that I have achieved or done in barbecue and grilling, I did the work. The Barbecue Central show took me to places I never would go beyond the Best Moments show. So it's like, because of the Barbecue Central show, coming on your show, meeting people, doing things, I am forever in your debt. So I appreciate you. I love you like a brother, and I can't thank you enough for all that you do.
Thanks, John. That's him. John Solberg right there. Talking about 7 years of the Best Moments show. Wow. I mean, that is quite the feat. Like I said, or like John said, prove us wrong. I'm number one, longest running, longest continually running, and most downloaded. And that the Best Moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less is the second longest continually posting and second most downloaded barbecue and grilling show ever on the face of the earth in the live fire space. Prove us wrong. It looks like the hot sauce was taken care of. Let me go to the inbox real quick. Oh, nope, I got one left. Darwin Carlson and Johnny Maggs will be getting a bottle of hot sauce. There's one left. So if you want that, email me, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com, and put hot sauce in the subject line. I'll let that run overnight, and maybe through tomorrow or maybe through Thursday, because that was only mentioned in the second hour. Anyway, let's get back to wrapping up the show. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank John Stolberg for joining us last segment. And I think that's bringing us to the end. All the way back in the first hour, Malcom Reed joined us. We talked about hunting bison intently. Then we welcomed first-time guest Kevin Grothe from Memphis In May, the Executive Vice President. What you can expect from the 2025 version of Memphis In May this year, both as a spectator and a competitor. We also talked a little bit of Smoke Slam stuff. Second hour, first visit from Sam the Cooking Guy. R.I.P. Lewis, as we dedicate Sam's segment to Lewis, who passed away a couple weeks ago. And then John Stolberg closing it out, coming out of the bully, doing it the right way. U.S. Mariner, you are the winner or recipient of that third bottle of hot sauce. So nobody do it anymore. I have all three. Don't do anything else. Thank you, U.S. Mariner. Or U.S. Mariner. A big show planned for you next week. We have David Gafford making his first quarterly appearance. We have Robert Moss coming in for his first appearance. And a great second hour planned for you as well. Oh, Guy the Cooking Sam is the winner of the hot sauce. Good for you. So, how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe, saying, Shalom!
Hi, this is Monroe Stoll. I'm from Stowe, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.